This review is a particularly special review because the perfume I'm reviewing today is Eternity by Calvin Klein. So this was gifted to me by a very wonderful subscriber of mine, Vicky Stammer, and I mean, thank you for this. This is wonderful. I've never tried this before. I've heard lots of great things about Eternity. This is the women's version. I believe there's also a men's version. So this came out in 1988, and this is primarily a floral fragrance. And the cool thing about it is you can guess from the name Eternity, it's about eternal love, friendship, and all that. And specifically, Calvin Klein made this to kind of represent his marriage, because at the time he got married to his wife. So I think that's a very, very sweet sort of message for this to have. I always like when perfumes have a certain story behind them. So I'm going to get right into this. Again, I haven't really tried this before. You can kind of smell it through the nozzle. You could definitely tell it's a strong floral fragrance, but I'll put some on. And there's quite a few notes according to my list here. So, okay. It's like immediately very much, at least for me, reminiscent of springtime. You know, when there's all those wildflowers out in the grass and it has that nice fresh smell. So, starting with the top notes here, there are green notes, freesia, sage, citrus notes, and then mandarin orange. And I would say the mandarin orange is pretty prominent when it's like that fresh burst of citrus juice sort of thing. And the citrus does kind of continue, it kind of flows, but more subtle. Now, the florals, like I said, are noticeable immediately. They're very, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Red Door, because Red Door is also a very floral fragrance, just tons of floral notes. So moving on from the top notes to the middle notes, there's carnation, lily, lily of the valley, narcissus, marigold, violet, rose, and jasmine. So again, this is pure floral, and like I said, really springtime. It's really nice. It has some of that sweetness from the florals as well. Also kind of like a clean linen, fresh laundry sort of vibe. This is very light and fresh. I would say even a little bit playful, And the interesting thing here, I have never seen marigold as a note in fragrances before. The other ones like lily of the valley, violet, jasmine, and rose, those are more common, but marigold is one I have not seen before. So, a little bit different there. Then the base notes, we're getting a little bit heavier. Musk, heliotrope, sandalwood, amber, and patchouli. So all those are great. I would say the sandalwood is pretty prominent. Sandalwood is pretty distinct. It's a unique woodsy note, has that little bit of warmth, even just a tad of just natural distant spiciness. Then I would say the amber and patchouli definitely warm it up a little bit, because primarily with all those floral notes that it has, it's, like I said, light and fresh, a little bit powdery, a little bit clean, very feminine. Then the patchouli and the amber come in, and like I said, they warm it up, they ground the fragrance, they give it more complexity, more layers, more of a chance to kind of evolve on the skin and, become different over time. Then the musk is definitely there, but it's faint. And I have heard that there's a difference between the newer version of Eternity and the more original, more vintage version. And I've heard that the vintage version has more emphasis on some of the heavier, more musky notes, and then the newer version is a little bit lighter. So I would say this one, it's pretty moderate musk. You're obviously not getting this super heavy masculine note or anything. It's more of like a white musk, very light sort of note here. But it still is warm enough, again, to ground the entire fragrance. Because often if you have a light floral fragrance and you don't have anything to ground it, it's not going to have great longevity. It's just going to go up in smoke. But this is definitely, it has staying power, it has longevity. I would say it's surprisingly strong for a floral fragrance. Very similar, again, to Red Door, which is also surprisingly strong for a floral fragrance. I would say this probably has really good longevity. I would imagine 7 hours. Because you could just tell it has a certain persistence in the way that it smells without being overwhelming, without giving you a headache or anything like this. This is a very smooth sort of fragrance, it's just nice. It's hard to describe. Besides, again, going back to the springtime analogy, it's kind of breezy, light, floral, and the sillage, I would say, also is pretty significant. You know, I've tried a lot of floral fragrances and the sillage is pretty weak, but this, I mean, I just sprayed one time here on one wrist, and I just, you know, moving like this, there's a significant scent trail here. So it's pretty impressive. Of course, like I said, I have heard quite a lot of good things about Calvin Klein Eternity in the past, but now I can see why, you know, what the big deal is here. And I would say, I think my favorite part of this fragrance is it kind of stays on the natural side of things. You know, if you're looking for a fragrance that smells more natural, this is a pretty good option because, you know, I'll say it again, it's like that springtime field of flowers, just walking through it, you know, there's a little crisp breeze coming past you, you know, just strong enough, the scent of all those flowers to be appreciated, but not too much to really, you know, smack you in the face or anything. So this is really, really well balanced. This is, you know, just a really great fragrance here. And it's funny because the only other Calvin Klein fragrance so far that I've reviewed is Calvin Klein Obsession, which is the polar opposite of this. So it's kind of fun to see really the versatility of this particular brand, especially since they both came out in the 80s, so, you know, kind of at the same time here. But yeah, this is definitely a really feminine, like a classically feminine, light and enjoyable fragrance. But that is pretty much what I have to say about this Eternity by Calvin Klein. And again, thank you to Vicky Stammer for sending this to me. It's a really, really wonderful thing to do and to have. But yeah, wrapping this up, that's all I have to say about this particular fragrance. If you enjoyed the video, of course you can like and subscribe, even leave a comment. And I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.